So this is it, the grand finals of the Fistful of Dice Netrunner Store Championships. This took place in February 2016. The legal sets were up to and including Caligoda of the Mumbad cycle. So on the left, Jeremy playing Iain Stirling. On the right, Simon playing his Industrial Genomics decks. We've seen both of these players a few times today. This is the grand final. So Jeremy has just managed to beat Simon in what was the first game of our final rounds, taking us to this final game where the winner will take all. So there's no time limit on these games. It is the first player to get a victory. Simon Hedge Fund. So we've seen Simon's Industrial Genomics deck on camera a few times. So being early in the Mumbad cycle, this is pre-Biolock, 54 card, hell, Industrial Genomics, ruins the game, everybody wants to quit forever type nonsense. This is a interesting homebrew, which Simon calls Speed Archaeology. And yeah, like any good IG build, his whole game plan is to kill you. But it was done quite well in that because this is before Bioethic, before IG was getting a lot of play, it has a real surprise factor that really caught a lot of players off guard over the day. Quite a few players just getting killed out of nowhere without really seeing it coming. Jeremy playing, again, actually another really interesting homebrew, his massive connection supplier off-campus apartment Iain Stirling deck, which has done some real good work throughout the day of just grinding out games against Corpse, letting Corpse, in some of the games we've seen, take a 6-0 lead, and then Iain and Jeremy just grind their way back into the game in a way that the Corp just can't handle. So two really great players playing their own homebrewed decks. You can't ask for a much better Store Championships final, really. So Turtlebacks there just allows Simon to make money as he installs new remotes. Underworld Contacts comes off the supplier. That can start generating money once Jeremy gets up to 2 link. There's a compromised employee and an E3 feedback implants. So neither of those cards are going to really do a lot against Simon. Simon running very little in the way of ice. At most, you might see the compromised employee gain 2 credits, I would think. It's not really going to be something that's going to come into play often. So Simon Rez is a tech startup, and he's going to turn that into an asset from R&D, presumably Jackson Howard. And yeah, the card pop up there just ruining what Simon is looking for, ruining the surprise. Spoilers ahead. It's a Jackson Howard. That's going to allow Simon to just start filtering up, get the cards he wants, get some cards in archives so that Jeremy won't be able to afford to trash anything. So the interesting part in this matchup, Jeremy's deck is a slow deck. It's happy to sit back and build up its board state while the Corp goes ahead. Simon's never going to score an agenda. Simon is not interested in scoring agendas. Simon's not built to score agendas. Simon only wants to kill, and he can actually kill without the runner needing to run. So he doesn't need Jeremy to make mistakes. He doesn't need necessarily Jeremy to run into a traps. Simon can just build up his own board state to kill Iain while he's setting up all his connections. So Jeremy does need to be aware of that. Installed cards that get advanced, he does need to respect as potential Ronins, although equally they could potentially also be Cerebral Overwriters or Project Junebugs. That is obviously the difficult part of the Jinteki Shell game. Simon just deciding what his next move is here. He's got a lot of cards to work with in hand. He's going to take a credit and then just fill archives with some cards. So Simon's narrowed his hand down to the 5 cards he wants to keep. Puts another 5 into archives. The other problem, of course, with IG, the easy answer always feels like you just run archives and that will then allow you to trash anything you want to get rid of or feel as a threat. The problem there is you've got shocks and ShiQs in those archives to just punish those runs. So Museum of History comes on. Museum of History is new to the meta scene at the time of this tournament, Calagoda is the latest pack, about 10 days after release. I recall this tournament taking place. So Museum was only just coming down, and we were all just sort of realising just how powerful a game it could, how powerful a card it could be, and how it was going to affect the meta game. Just allowing you. Oh, so there is a Cerebral Overwriter. So a Mushin Nat Cerebral Overwriter is obviously a really strong play if you think you can bait the runner into running it. There's a really interesting side game anytime you play Mushin, in that you dare the runner to say, do you think I'm trying to score here, or do you think I'm trying to hurt you? And the hard part is, it almost becomes a double sort of psych bluff game. Jeremy is probably well aware that Simon isn't looking to score, but then you get that really cool Netrunner moment where you realise, oh, Simon knows that, and Simon could also Mushin out a Future Perfect, thinking that Jeremy won't run it, assuming it's a trap, and then Simon gets a really easy 3-point score on the next turn. And so there is a Mushin. I think that was the Cerebral Overwriter. And this, I mean, when I first started playing Netrunner, this was one of my favourite things about the game. I loved the face-down sort of bluff game. I loved, is this a trap? What is this? Especially against Jinteki. I mean, some of my sort of first memories of playing Netrunner were playing against Personal Evolution, and just that terrifying moment where you look at your hand and you know you've got to run and check that face-down card, and if it's a Project Junebug, you're going to die. And just one of those moments that really hooks you and gets you into the game and just makes you realise this is a game you want to keep playing. So passing the turn back to Simon, there was a full guy installed and another compromised employee went on to the supplier. Simon just shuffling a card back with Museum of History. I think it was the Mushin actually he shuffled back. He's going to be able to make tons of work on Mushins if he's able to keep Museum them back and can get them in hand. There's an Archive of Memories there as well. So you would love to see an advance on that card and see Simon score a Future Perfect, because all of a sudden the pressure that would put on Jeremy to answer these Mushin threats would be insane. Obviously not though, unfortunately. So Simon installs a new server, moves some stuff around to make room for his horizontal deck here. And another remote installed. So we've already got one card out with 3 tokens, or 3 advancement tokens on it. If that is Ronin, Simon just needs to Mushin out another Ronin and advance it, and all of a sudden you have, because there is that terrifying moment you can get against these IG decks, and I actually played Simon's IG deck here a few times in the run-up at our local tournaments and in casual play, and you can get this really scary moment where the IG player can start their turn with 2 cards face down, one with 4 tokens and one with 3 tokens, and you can't allow them that, because all it takes is an advance and to res 2 Ronins and you're dead. So you need to respect that. Once there's 2 face down cards, you have to answer it. You have to go and check one of them.
Shuffle. That's a great card and super time.
So I'm just commenting on Museum of History there. It's a great card and super time consuming, and that's something we're all well aware of now, 6 months after release. So there's another Mushin. So that card goes down with 3 advancements. Simon gets the credit from the Turtlebacks. And what's the click 4 play here going to be? Click 4, Simon advances that last card. Actually didn't advance out of his credit pool, but I don't think that really matters too much. So this is the exact situation I was talking about. So all of a sudden, Jeremy has to be aware that he's got to check at least one of those 2 cards, because if they are both Ronins, this is game. So he's actually drawn with his first, I think it was 2 clicks actually of drawing he's just done. So that does mean he's got the cards to face plant and go into a Junebug without the game being over. And this is a horrible situation as a runner. You really do have to just... You can't afford to not check them. Yeah, it seems like Jeremy is aware now of exactly what the board state is, of what the threat is. And he's just going to have to choose which of these he's going to answer. More importantly, even if he does check one of them, he can't actually afford to trash a Ronin in either of those two servers. So calling in favours for click 3, that will take him. So he has now got money to trash a Ronin. He's just got to make sure that he hits a Ronin. So he runs the 4 advanced card. Oh, Cerebral Overwriter. And that's just, there's a gasp around the room there as the players realise what that is. And insult to injury, Simon Rez the Chairman Hero. So the 4 brain damage taking Jeremy down to 1 hand size. Chairman Hero further reduces the runner's hand size to -2. So he gets a negative hand size kill, and even without Chairman Hero, Simon's got an EMP in hand. So that is a really, really solid win out of nowhere for Simon there. And that's the real strength of Simon's build. So Speed Archaeology, just a really fantastic homebrew. Shows that sometimes you can take a corporation or a runner, an ID or a card that people maybe just haven't quite explored yet, and just really make it your own. And to better take it to a store championship and just take everybody by surprise is absolutely fantastic. So congratulations to Simon on his store championship win. Thank you very much for watching our coverage of the Fistful of Dice store championships. We'll be back very soon with coverage of our own store championships at Cheap Thrills.